So let us go to the Big Ten. We got to pick the spread and the total here because on this show we pick the Iowa total every week. The Iowa under this season is 10-2. So I blew it against Illinois, Patrick. I picked the over.
Why?
Because Illinois had just thrown for 500 yards. I felt like my man Deacon Hill at Iowa was about to have a big game against Illinois secondary. And 15-13. So
this one right now, Michigan, Iowa is sitting 23 as far as the side. The total is 35.5. Just for perspective, Michigan scores 38.3 a game. Okay, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. This is a mismatch. Now, Iowa's going to find out next year how tough the Big Ten is when legit teams start getting involved in their division. Are they still going to do this wacky divisions moving forward?
No divisions.
Thank God. That drives me freaking crazy. Do you remember in 2021 the Big Ten championship game? What happened? This was Iowa v. Michigan.
It was a blowout. And this is where I'm going with this, with the spread and with the total. So the total's 35.5. So Michigan favored by 22.5 at FanDuel, 23 in some other places. What we're talking about is a 29-6 game. That is what we're talking about. Michigan, I think, is going to score more than that. I think here's what happens with Iowa. Iowa's defense is great. It is incredibly well coached by Phil Parker. They don't have an abundance of special athletes. They did have one really great one in Cooper DeJean, who is out after getting hurt at practice a couple weeks ago. The problem when they play teams that have some special athletes, or in Michigan's case, a lot of special athletes, it's totally different. Being in the right place doesn't matter when you just get beat by a better player. And so when you're playing against Wisconsin, when you're playing against Nebraska, being in the right place is all you got to be. But against Ohio State or against Michigan, sometimes it doesn't matter if you're in the right place. You just get beat.
So 2021, Michigan closed 12. They were laying 12. They beat up on Iowa 42-3. That offense in 21 of Iowa was freaking prolific compared to this offense. Remember, that offense, they went to College Park. They went to Maryland and dropped 51 on them. This team.
Well, there were pick sixes in that game. So
okay. To be fair, look up and down that season. They were a much better offense. So I'm just contextualizing. If you're nervous about the 23 and a half, you have to start breaking this down from a betting perspective in quarters and halves. What will Michigan do? Because this is not about the Big Ten championship game for Michigan. This is about redemption once they get to the Final Four. Are they going to be the villain? The story that everybody's trying to build and the Great Lakes state. This has not, like, they're going to beat Iowa. Now, the question is, what do you do with this from a betting perspective? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bet the first quarter. I'm going to lay 5.5 with Michigan in the first quarter. I think this is a half. I think this game comes down to the first half. I'll tell you what the half line is. You want to take a stab at that just for fun, just for practice? So the game total is, the game line is 23.5. You want to take a stab at the first half line?
Michigan by 13.
You generally just cut it in half. It's 13.5 Michigan. The first quarter line is 5.5. What I do is expect Michigan, who's overwhelmingly better, that run game is going to be fine against Iowa. I'd expect them to jump out to an early lead. You can see this going to, obviously, the second quarter, Michigan up 7-0, Michigan up 10-0. Iowa's not going to score.
Well, right. It's not just Iowa's not going to score. Here's where the total comes in for me. Whether it's, whether it's the total or first half total or even a first half or first quarter spread, is are they going to force Iowa to throw an interception that gives Michigan the ball on the Iowa 6-yard line? Like, are they going to give Michigan some cheap, easy points? That's the question. And that's really what this comes down to. If they give Michigan cheap, easy points, it goes over, Michigan covers, and all of your props hit. If they don't, if they somehow the ball does not end up in Michigan's hands and Torrey Taylor gets to punt it, then maybe your under hits. Maybe.
Well, let me ask you this. What was the difference between Michigan and Ohio State? It's very simple. It's 2 interceptions in special teams.
Correct.
Ohio State's terrible.
That's what
on
I'm worried
specials.
about. So I'm going to take Michigan to cover, and I am going to take the over in this game.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because we're laying 23.5 in a championship game. Iowa, would you please get the hell out of the way? Okay, that number closed. That number, Staples, closed 25.5, Iowa, Nebraska. You know what it did?
Yeah.
Stayed under 13-10. Unbelievable.
I know.
25.5 is a historically low number.
Well,
35.5. I'm still going to go under. I'm sorry, because Michigan is absolutely going to – they're going to be just like the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be eating chicken on the sidelines in the fourth quarter.
It was turkey.
Same thing.
Stashed in the Salvation Army kettle.
Dude, you know what's so classic about the disrespect? To put forethought into the disrespect. To put forethought into the blowout was the Dallas Cowboys. And then Del Rio got canned the next day. But anywho, I go under. I'd also lay it. But again, I'm looking for an alternative here. So I'll lay the 5.5 in the first quarter with Michigan as well.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.